Today on Metaphysical Mississippi, we have Shari Crook with Resolution Hypnotherapy. She's a certified hypnotherapist as well as a practicing Reiki master. She's going to share a little bit today about her metaphysical origins as well as some of her past life regression sessions that she is offering. Stay tuned, it'll be a fun interview. Welcome to Metaphysical Mississippi. I'm your host, Emily, and today we have Shari Crook with Resolution Hypnotherapy Services. Well, first, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. It's been a great day.
Oh, good. It
It has
has.
been a great day. Yes.
I see the sun flowing in behind you.
A
So,
little bit longer more. We're getting closer to the end of the day here, but so if I
yes,
get dark behind me.
yes. So I'm excited for you to share your metaphysical origins and then what led you to doing hypnotherapy, as well as I know that you're going into different directions in the metaphysical world. So we're really excited to hear about all that you are looking to go into or what you're going to offer next year. So I'll just go on and turn it over to you. Just share a little bit about yourself and then where you're going from here.
I can do that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I've been watching some of your other podcasts that you've done, and they're fantastic, by the
Oh,
way. I guess
thank you.
a little biased because I know and love all of those people, but
Yes.
it's really been fun and exciting to watch. So I got to see what you were doing before I got to be involved. So that was good. Um, I think so. Like metaphysically, I've been metaphysical my whole life.
Yeah.
At 5 years old, my grandmother had some rental houses, and my mom was her main painter and house fixer upper. She'd buy them,
Yes.
fix them up, and rent them. So I got dragged along one day, and I walked in this house, and I just walked through, and I said, "Oh, I've been here before. That's the bedrooms are that way, and da da da. And there's that window that's back there, and I knew everything about it." My mom said, "Sherry, you have never been here before." And I said, "No, I have." And my grandmother said to my mom, "Don't you stop her. She may have been here before." She knew. My grandmother was, and a lot of people hear
Oh,
that about their grandmothers, were the ones that had dreams or
right.
insights or whatever. So she
Yes.
encouraged me from 5 years old. So, but I didn't, you grow up and I got married, had kids, and my husband had health difficulties most of his life. So I always had to work, and didn't he wasn't too cool about. I had some oracle cards that I used to stash in my sock drawer, and
Yes.
I thought I was hiding them, but I found out later my girls that are now grown adults used to go sneak and get them when they had girlfriends over, and they thought they were like reading, doing somebody's reading, but they're
Yeah.
oracle cards, which is not really reading. But anyway, um, so it wasn't until after my husband passed away 5 years ago was I able to really expand and do things I wanted to do. Because you're married, you do, and he had health issues. But I read the book Journey of Souls, Michael Newton, Journey of Souls. And I
Yes.
was actually reading it. I mean, I always had that interest. I have hundreds of books on metaphysical, just about every topic you can imagine. I always was kind of out there. I always did have books of every kind, unusual, um, Bigfoot, uh, the Loch Ness monster, anything unusual, and of course magic and witches, and um, but I didn't act upon any of that stuff because I lived in the more serious world. But after my husband died, I had been reading Journey of Souls, and I'd been working on reading it. You go to the hospital every day when people are sick, and I think I read the same pages 17 times. I don't know, before I finally got through the book. But it's one of those books that totally changed my life. And when I read about what Michael Newton did, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do what he did. And if anybody's never read the book, Journey of Souls is he was a psychologist and a hypnotherapist, and he, like all of the ones that I follow, all the hypnotherapists, all the famous ones anyway, Dolores Cannon, Michael Newton, Dr. Brian Weiss, they all came to hypnosis past life hypnosis accidentally. They would be doing a regression for someone, like maybe they had trauma in childhood when they couldn't
Yeah.
find the reason for something, some habit, some pain, some issue. They'd regress them back to childhood, and they would just on their own, totally organically, end up in a past life. The one Brian Weiss it was a woman that worked in the hospital with him. He was chief of psychiatry at Mount Sinai Hospital in Miami. One of the employees couldn't sleep, kept waking up in the middle of the night in the bottom of her closet, curled up in a ball. And she would be terrified, sound asleep, or she'd been sound asleep in the floor of her closet. So
Yeah.
she found therapy for 3 years. So finally he did. Mostly psychiatrists, they don't, I mean, and psychologists don't like hypnosis that much. They don't use it that much. They use talk therapy, and there's tons of different therapies, but he decided to use it on her because he thought that she had trauma as a child. Regressed her back to childhood. She leaps over into ancient Egypt, and she was a slave in that lifetime, and she had a master, and he died. And like Egyptians, when they die, they would, of the, the royal or the hierarchy, they would send them into, these big tombs, but they'd have a boat because they had to cross the river Styx, money because they had to pay the ferryman to cross the river Styx, and then they'd send them with their gold and their jewels. And that's why all that stuff's in those tombs, is because they were sending it with them to the afterlife.
Right.
And you can't send some royal guy without a slave. So they put her into the tomb with him. He was dead, but she was alive, and sealed her up in there. No food, no water, no blanket, just curled up on the stone floor and laid there till however long it was till she died. And so that was why she was having this problem in her current life, and she kept waking up in the bottom of her closet, curled up in a ball, scared and terrified. But after being regressed to that and remembering it and knowing it was a past life,
Right.
she was fine after that. She never woke up in the closet again.
Oh.
So Dr. Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters. It's a really famous hypnotherapy book. It's the first one I ever read. It's 30 something years old. I read it over 30 years ago. Dolores Cannon, she had Michael Newton. He had a client come to see him with this pain, phantom shoulder pain, just phantom pain. He'd been to every kind of doctor. They checked him, he went to physical therapy, he did heat, he did cold, he did meds, he did all. So finally, and he was miserable, he couldn't sleep, it was terrible. So finally somebody suggested he see a hypnotherapist. So he did. They regressed him back to childhood to see if that was, that it was something back from his childhood.
Right.
Leaped into a past life. He was a soldier on a horse, and somebody got him with like a sword right here, came right up to him and stabbed him, knocked him off his horse, and he laid on the battlefield and died. He bled out and died. But when he came to after the hypnotherapy, the pain was gone, and he never had the pain again. So they call it it's a past life hangover. It's a it's a hangover of something that happened in a past life, and you bring it with you into this incarnation. Even though you're a whole new physical person, your energy is the same. So you bring it over in your energy field.
So when you were younger, did this studying this, reading those books, did it help you, or did you go find your own hypnotherapist and settle what that little memory of that house was? Has that ever been explored anymore?
I never had hypnosis till I was in school for it.
Oh, and that's only within the last 5 years? Are you saying school for it?
No, but I was into the metaphysical. So like Michael Newton.
Oh,
The
gotcha.
beginning of my story was explaining. So Michael Newton, when he started doing past lives, he was so fascinated with it.
Yes.
he did it for 20 years. He'd never read anybody else's work that did past life stuff because he was figuring it out as he went along. He
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
so he didn't want his thoughts to be clouded with other people's ideas. So
Right.
so he just worked at it for 20 years till he wrote the book Journey of Souls, and the Journey of Souls is 7,000 case studies. And what he found out was if you took people to a past life, that's one thing. But you go to that past life, and in a past life session with me, you go to a past life, and we go all the way till the end of that past life, till you have your passing, till you die. That physical body dies. So
Uh-huh.
we walk you all the way through that past life until the end of it. Well, in a past life session, that's kind of where it ends. We ask, did you learn lessons? And we do talk
Right,
at
right.
the end. But Michael Newton went one step further. He went to, well, what happens? So if you're not here, me and you talking right now,
Yes,
if you're not here and you haven't like passed on and gone to, some people say heaven, some people say purgatory, they say
yes.
you've gone through the gates, St. Peter in the gates, or you've gone to the other side. So if you're not there and you're not, here, like, are you in a past life? So you're
Uh,
only going to be in one of three places. So we know about here.
mm-hmm.
They knew about doing past lives. Michael Newton followed them to where they were on the other side. So LBL, which is what I just got certified in, is
Uh,
life between lives, life between lives. So it's when you're not in a past life and you're not here, it's where you are. And it's on the other side of the gateway. That's where Michael Newton's work started, was when you cross that gateway. So
oh.
he regresses you to a past life, you explore it, you get all the details about it, you learn lessons about it, you go to the end of that life when you pass over. And then when you pass over, your physical body stays here, your energetic body leaves. So when that happens, it's where you go.
Eh,
So I read his book and his story about all of that. 20 years, 7,000 case studies, all these people that were crossing the threshold, crossing the gateway is what we say. So they were crossing the gateway, and it was their experiences on the other side that he was doing sessions for. I read that book and I said, I want to do that. So
yeah.
that's what I've been working on for the past 4 years. And that is the whole reason I became a hypnotherapist. Because after I read the book and I put it down, I just said, I'm going to do this. So I looked it up, and I like Michael Newton has other books. I looked up the Michael Newton Institute, and it's like, so you want to be a practitioner? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It says only qualified, certified hypnotherapists can apply to the program. Say what? So I'm like, I had to be a hypnotherapist first. So I had to go, I took two classes. Each one was 120, I think 110 hours each, and 55 classroom, 55 self-study. And I took, one and two, got my certification. And then I couldn't take Michael Newton's stuff until after I became a certified past life regressionist. So I had to take another 110
Yeah.
hours. So I took a third class, and then afterwards, you had to be a practitioner for at least 2 years and do 100 sessions before they'll let you go to the Michael Newton Institute. So I did finish that, but then COVID hit. So I had to wait.
Oh, okay.
I took my final class in October last year for Life Between Lives. And so this whole past year, I've been practicing, studying, and as luck would have it, I got my certification last night. It just came through. So I've been working on it 4 years, or,
Wow.
or my whole life, whichever way you look at it.
What
And
celebration.
it's
Woo!
a celebration, and everything I have done for anything having to do with hypnosis and all these
Yeah.
other classes I took while I was waiting was all because I read that book. And I just said, I want to do that. And so all of this, I took the classes at Soul Synergy Center with Jill Jackson, psychic, and
Yes.
with Alan Evans, I became a Reiki master. With your sister, I became a Reiki master teacher. So I did all these other classes, all because I read that book, one book.
So I had discussed with Krista about having gateway modalities, like doing one thing will lead you to do this and this and this and this. But
Yes. Yeah.
whew,
You're exactly
it's the
right. Gateway
buffet. You're just loading up your table. I mean, loading up your plate from a buffet table.
Well, now that I'm certified, I am not taking another class for, like at least 6 months because
You have wood around you somewhere. Oh, there's a plant. Knock on wood. No.
yeah,
That,
yeah. Well, I'll end up doing something else, but because of holistic health and healing, um,
and that is
I'm
where you are.
that is where my office
That's your
is. Yay,
yes.
yeah. And getting to do this with Krista, that's going to really be between that and my new Life Between Lives and my hypnotherapy. Now I love doing that. I didn't think I would when I first found out I had to do all that just to do Michael Newton's uh, Journey of Souls, what I read about in the
Yes.
book. I was like, I have to help people quit smoking and help people like, with stress, anxiety. And I was like, well, my teacher said, you're going to love it. And I thought, okay. And that had never dawned on me. I didn't know I was going to do that. I
Right.
was about doing Life Between Lives. I'd read about this
Right.
amazing, fantastical thing. I just wanted to go do that.
Right.
But it has been so amazing doing hypnosis. I work with athletes to help them improve their performance. I work with
Oh,
people with stress and anxiety, people with physical issues, pain management. I've helped people with stuttering. I've helped people not just quit smoking, but quit vaping. Um,
what
People that drink too much that are really not alcoholic or anything, but they just overdo it. Just like 1,000 different things people need help with. Hypnosis is not magic, but it is magical.
right. So it's kind of that's kind of well, I like to always say the vanilla. It's a safe place to start with where people can come see you in without being considered woo woo, which there's nothing wrong with being woo woo, but you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
And if you look at my website right now, it is not woo woo. It is
No,
traditional hypnotherapy.
right.
It's because of my day job. I didn't want to like they already think it's a little weird that you do hypnosis. But if they knew I did past life regression and Life Between Lives, that's a little too weird. But I'm officially retiring from my long term. I've been a mortgage banker for 22 years, but I've turned in my notice and I'm just about to close my last loan. So I get to come out of the closet.
Yeah, this is like, oh wow, this is a lot happening this month,
It
this
is. It
year. I mean,
is.
wow. So 2023, oh, it's gonna be exciting.
I'm excited. I am. I am.
Everybody's got to keep you busy. You're open for business sign is going to be put out. I mean, it's already out there, but flashing.
Yeah, it's what we all, that whole saying that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And I've loved my jobs. I've been really good at my jobs. I've worked real hard during my lifetime, but my kids are grown and gone. And my husband, of course, no longer needs me. So because of his, he's taken care of. He helps
Right.
me actually on a
Oh,
spiritual
beautiful.
level. But
Beautiful.
the rest of my life, I'm just doing me. And my oldest daughter is all my kids are very supportive, but my oldest daughter said, just go be you, mom.
Oh,
My kids are real supportive of it. And
that's
I just get to get up every day and do something that I don't, it's not that I just love it, but I mean, I read that book and just said,
yeah.
I'm going to do that.
It
Uh,
just resonated.
it did. It did.
Um, I want to ask a question about. I'm going to go back to Life Between Lives,
Okay.
and the question is: you said that there was the past life, the present, and then what's beyond that. when he takes you to that next place, is that considered the future, or is time just not, a straight line in all of this? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
is
no,
that
that's a great question. So so in our world, in the
yes,
Michael Newton world, we call all time is like now time. It's like, where are you presently? And
right.
in a session, when we do the session, and the sessions are amazing, because all of the things you may have ever read about or heard about, like a council of elders, wise elders,
Yes.
the Akashic record of the book of life, we visit these places. There's many places. There's places of healing. If your life was particularly hard and you just need some rest or time, you have to go to a place of healing. And for some that's like this beautiful meadow, and there's streams and whatever colors like you don't ever imagine. It could be anything. But you also meet your soul family. You always heard you had a soul family, and
Yeah.
and your guide greets you there every time. And then the highlight of the whole trip there, besides all, you can go when you're going to be thinking about your next life that you're going to live, you can go actually help. You have input. You pick your next family. You pick, souls aren't boys or girls. So you pick, what do you want to be, boy or girl? What kind of life you want to lead, and what kind of family? And you can even pick out your body. It's a choice, and it has to do with whatever journey you are on your soul, because we're on this path of ascension, right, to
Right.
reunite with God, with source, with all that is. So that's so you're on this journey, and so you've got to learn certain things. So let me add one thing, and then I'll hush so
Yeah.
you can ask your question. But
Oh,
so
no.
you have all these places you can go visit, but the coolest part to me is the end of that, which is you are reunited with your higher self. And I've had people ask me, what's the difference between your soul and your higher self? Well, your soul is all of you. Like, like when God created us, we were never, we were created once, and then we are never destroyed. When our physical body dies, our energetic body goes on to.
Right. I believe that. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that, when we go there, but there's always, and Michael Newton discovered this in Journey of Souls and through his 7,000 case studies, that all 100% of our energetic body is not here in this body. It wouldn't fit, I don't think, but we're not 100%. So depending on whose stuff you read, but he pretty much believed that we were only 30% of us here. The rest of us still on the other side, like 70%.
Oh.
That's our higher self.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be your higher self.
So if you are psychic, and or you have mediumship skills, or when you have dreams, out of body experiences, you are
Yes.
connecting with your higher self. So you are in your 100%. And so when I do life between lives, we go visit, we do all of the, council of elders, we heal, you visit your family, but then we are with your 100% you. And it's usually known by a different name or sound, and it's you, but it is you on a level you could not even imagine. It's you, and you generally speak in the third person. Like, I'll ask a question, and I will ask, you're yeah, I ask the question, and you'll answer. Like, I could ask them about Emily if I was
Right.
talking to your high, not just your higher self, but your whole self. And I would say, so how's Emily doing in this life? And you speaking to me in the session would
Right.
answer, Emily's doing great. She's finding her passion, and she's doing this wonderful thing. She knows and it's a message for you, and it gets all written down and all recorded. But
Oh.
and you also have an opportunity to ask questions.
So
You have
if
a list of
oh, I'm
questions.
sorry.
No. I was just going to say, you have an opportunity to, all those questions you would want to ask, if you could ask your higher self anything and get an answer.
Yes.
It's not always the one you're expecting or want, but you get a chance to ask that. That's my favorite part. The whole session is like 5 hours. It's very, very long. It's very arduous. You have to have done a past life session with me first. You can't do
Oh,
you can't do LBL, you can't do Michael Newton and Journey of Soul stuff until you have done a past life. So it's like a step beyond, like people that go, oh, I want to do a past life. Yeah, it's a step beyond that, higher, ascended. And it will change you forever. It changed me forever.
it is the higher self. Is it all knowing? Your future, your past, or well, if time's not the same, then I guess
It knows everything about you there is to know, all
okay.
lives ever lived. It has all that knowledge, and it's part, when it's higher self, it's part of the collective. So
Yeah.
it's connected to,
So it
it's connected to source, it's connected to your soul family. And it's, again, it's energy. It's love and light at its greatest, unconditional love and high intense energy. Yeah.
is this, and also is past life, is this the same as reincarnation?
Yes.
Or is it different?
Yeah.
Does it differ at all, or is it kind of just about this?
Well,
It's a different outlook to it, a newer, fresher.
it's all the same. All this stuff is all the same stuff. And you're visiting all the same place. It's not as complicated as it sounds once you figure it out. But if you're reincarnated, that means that you lived a past life and now you're reincarnated into a new life. And
Yes.
there are tons of books on it, but going back a very long time, there is actually references in the Bible about reincarnation.
When you were talking about that, I was just thinking about the higher self, and God spoke into let there be light. Let there be light, and it was, it was and if we
Yeah, it is.
think
Yeah,
of
we were all created at once, our souls were,
yes,
but
yeah,
we're all trying to get back to that source. But through that, you have your lessons to learn. There's levels to learn, depending on like what dimension you're in. You hear people talk about
yeah,
these different, esoteric levels.
yes,
It gets into, and we all, as souls, we have these gifts of like telepathy, because souls don't have bodies, so they don't have mouths to speak or eyes to see, but they know everything. And when you connect with them, I have the videos up. It
yeah,
is the most amazing thing. I was so lucky when I was having to do my practice this past year. Most of my volunteers, my guinea pigs, because I had to do case studies and turn them in, and
yes.
be videoed, and I had to hit
Oh,
specific points. It's real detailed.
yeah,
Anyway, I got everybody that I did it with was like Reiki masters, psychics, mediums, shaman. They were all these gifted, in touch people. So I had some really cool sessions. And when I was doing my class, I was in a class of 17 from 7 different countries. We did it on Zoom. And I was the only one that had like all my sitters, is what somebody that sits for you.
yeah,
All my sitters were all these gifted people. So a lot of them were having people that didn't trust it and they didn't believe it and they'd never
yeah.
done it before. Not mine, man.
You
Ooh,
just jumped in. You want my clothes on or my clothes off? I'm jumping in.
they jumped in. They did, and it's people that are all around here and in our local community, and
Yeah,
I thank them tremendously, because without them, I could not have done this. I had to have guinea pigs, and but it's life changing. And so, and I've done some since then. They're pretty cool, and that's what I hope to do in the new year, is to actually get. I was waiting for the certification, and it just came through, and so
right.
that's is my whole story. I know that isn't what you asked. You
No,
asked
but
one simple
this is
question.
no, this is it. No, it makes me think when you're talking about your higher self that it could answer so many unknown questions, and I mean, I still am learning about, talking to ghosts or and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure where I stand with all of that, but it's easier to digest thinking of, oh, I just had a dream. I saw something in the future. I just dreamed something that maybe that's your higher self, feeding you that information. Then,
It is,
it makes it, like I said,
but
more
it's all the
digestible.
same thing. So in hypnosis, when I do hypnosis, people always like, how do you know if you're hypnotized? And it's hypnosis is super, super deep relaxation. So that's the physical body, the ego relaxing,
Yeah.
but it's also hyper, super focused attention. So you're deeply relaxed, but you're razor focused, targeted, bullseye. And when you do that, it's your subconscious you. So if we can get conscious you and ego you and questioning you, and the one that's like, I think I'm imagining things, we can get that you to
Yeah.
sit down and kind of be, quiet for just a little bit. If we can talk to the super conscious you, that's what's connected to your higher self.
So, um, I'm gonna ask a silly, well, it might be a silly question. Okay. I'm one, I want you to share some of the tools that you use to get someone into that relaxation, that relaxing state. And two, the next one is, answer me this: do you hold a little thing in front of somebody
I don't,
getting very
but I
sleepy?
could. Watch the watch.
Yes.
Good. It's repetitive. And actually, for people that have a harder time just relaxing, anybody can be hypnotized if they choose to be. When I have people say, and I've had them say it to me, well, you couldn't hypnotize me. And I'm saying, you're right, because you've already chosen not to. It's a choice. If you choose to go there, you don't have to. There are other times of like kind of subtle things that you can do, and it's repetitive and you hear it over and over and over and over, like certain things in the news,
Yeah.
um, or certain just things that become there's sayings or accepted practices, and people say them over and over again. You start to believe it because it's what you hear all the time.
Yeah.
That's a type of hypnosis as well. um,
Oh,
but with what I do is like to answer your question, the tools I just use, um, well, I use verbal scripts for one thing, um, where I'm talking to you the whole time. And if it's depending on what kind of hypnosis we're doing, I talk, you listen. And that's more like guided meditation, truly. Meditation and hypnosis are the same thing.
that's what I was gonna ask you.
Yes, it's all the same. We make everything more complicated by giving it all these different names. But if you, oh, I should have put it out. I have it. I have a little graph and chart. You can look it up online, and it's like your brain, like it hooked up to an EEG during meditation, is what it says. But it's exactly the same for hypnosis. You and I talking right now, we're in a beta state. So our mind is moving at a certain, in a beta state, you can, make plans, do your job, you can drive a car, you can just do things, think ahead. So that's beta, conscious living. Then under that is the alpha state, when you kind of chill a little bit and set back. If you ever watch television and you're really into a movie or TV show, and somebody may walk into the room and you don't even know they're standing there. Like they go to speak and it might even startle you, like, whoa, where did you come from? Um, that's alpha state. You weren't asleep, and you're awake, but your mind was elsewhere. Or if you've ever like driven home, maybe after a long day of work, you get in the driveway and you turn your car off and you get ready to jump out, and all of a sudden you go, did I stop at all the stop signs on the way home? It's like your mind was somewhere else, but
Yeah.
somehow you managed to get in your driveway. All
Yeah.
right. So that is hypnosis in the alpha state. So you are
Oh,
still your subconscious, which is connected to your higher self. Your subconscious knows how to drive home. So it did what it knew how to do. It also stopped at stop signs and red lights. I mean, yes, you probably should be not so zoned out, but you were still capable of getting home. And so,
mhm.
but that is a type of very light meditation hypnosis. It's called alpha state. If you watch a movie and you're watching, you're in that theater and you're watching and
Yeah.
it's making you cry or laugh, you know, with your conscious mind that you're in a theater, that those are actors and that's a big old screen and it's not all real, but you're crying real tears. That's hypnosis.
Oh my goodness. That's a
That's,
great.
and that's alpha state. So then you go beta, alpha. The next one is theta. And theta is a sleep state. But you can be in theta and not be fully asleep. And that's where I do most hypnosis is in theta. And theta, depending on what level, it's not just a single number, it's a range from here to here. And the higher end of theta is where you have REM sleep and dreams. But lighter theta is hypnosis, deep hypnosis and meditation. And it's also, if you've ever done lucid dreaming, just as you fall asleep, you fall into a dream, but you know you're dreaming. That's lucid. Or just as you're waking up and you're having a dream as you wake, but you know you're dreaming, that's also theta on the lighter end. You're coming up out of that state.
Oh.
And then even deeper than that, which I don't work in on purpose, but my clients go there all by themselves, is the delta state. And on that, your brain is moving so slow. You're at like, what is it, like 0.2 to 3 hertz is the, I mean, it's really whoa slow.
Oh, and they can measure that with, do they
Yep.
put
Yep.
things on you to,
Yep.
oh wow.
And there's actually a thing that you can buy. I really want the technology for it where I could actually use it on my clients. I'd know where they were, which would be great. I wouldn't have to try to figure it out. But
Right.
the delta state, when you're that deep, a couple cool things about delta state. One, that's where Dolores Cannon worked. Dolores didn't just do past life. She does QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique. It's not really that different from what I do, but hers, she did everything in delta. In delta, you're talking the whole time. We're having conversations. I ask questions, you answer, ask questions, answer. But when it's all over, you remember nothing. So it's always recorded so that you can hear yourself answer questions. With
Oh
regular hypnosis, when you're in alpha or theta, you generally remember most of it.
yeah.
It depends on how deep off you go. So those are the different states, and that's how. So how do I do it? I talk to you. I get you to relax. I have people that come in and they're those, they move, they kick their foot all the time. They're like, I don't think you can get me to relax.
Mhm.
I can do it. I can get it so you're not moving an inch. And I usually take a video so I can show them, like, this was you not moving. I had somebody that stuttered terribly. In hypnosis, he spoke perfectly, not a single stutter.
Well, I was gonna say, I've just been inside your office and I just step in there and I'm already relaxed. So
I do
huge
use
shoes.
aromatherapy. I use frankincense because it does two things. It's very relaxing, but it also helps you to achieve altered states. And all of those
Oh, I didn't
things I
realize that.
explained, yeah. So all of those from, alpha, theta,
Yeah.
delta, those are altered states. And all altered states, whether it's hypnosis, whether I'm doing past life or traditional, or people
Yes.
do ayahuasca and they do other journeying, deep meditation, those are all the same altered state. The only thing different is how are you using it? What's your intention? You're doing a
Gotcha.
journey. You're doing a journey to a past life. You're doing a journey to your ancestors. You're doing a journey to the future, whatever that is, a parallel universe.
I have a question about a potential being a customer or client. Um, does it matter their intention for people to come to you for entertainment or the sincerity or the purpose of it? Does that, you as a practitioner, does their purpose for going to that state influence uh whether or not you feel that you should dabble in that? If someone is Do you understand what I'm trying to get
I
at is someone's
there's
coming
no
for just entertainment, or are they really need it to heal? Or can you determine that maybe in a brief conversation that they are not at that spot like you were saying? You don't need to do LBL before you've done past life because you're not at that point. So
Well,
you
that's actually the ability to do it. They can't do it because they're not. Now, some people
oh,
are. Some people are gifted and open and strong and could just go
right.
straight there, but most don't trust it. I do which I've told you about. You know how I do the monthly past life regression sessions in
Yes,
a
yeah,
group of six. So I've been doing that for 4 years. I've been doing it. I've been certified in just past life for 4 years. So I did it at Soul Synergy for almost 4 years, and ever since I left there and came here, I've been doing it here every month. And I sell out usually my little 6 seats, and that is a first step. It's like a deep guided meditation, and I teach you how to relax, and you really have to be more like have the mind of a child. You've got to be, and it can be for entertainment. It doesn't matter why you came, but
gotcha.
you just have to be. In fact, some people have brought their children, and when I say children, my youngest one was 12 or 13. I was a little concerned, but kids, their minds, they can imagine and pretend. And I
Oh,
use
I see
those
what you're saying.
words. Sometimes I'll say, just imagine and pretend. You're standing outside and it's a beautiful sunny day. So I just have you imagine in your mind a beautiful sunny day. So I teach you how to be open and receptive and pay attention. So once I say a bright sunny day, I'm giving you a head start there. But then you're thinking, yeah, and there's clouds in the sky, and I can feel a breeze. You can go off on your own. You'll start to imagine
Yeah,
and that's how the journey begins. But the group sessions are practice, because what usually happens is, even in the group sessions, I spend 45 minutes telling you how to do it and what not to do, and people still do this. They'll start really getting into it and imagining and pretending, and they don't know where the ideas are coming from. If you put down the barriers, and it wouldn't even matter if it was your imagination. Just go with it. You came for entertainment or fun anyway. Just go see where it leads you. But when it gets done, when they start doing it, they're enjoying it and it's all fun, and then they go, "Oh, I'm just making this up." Man, boom. So when you were often, theta, being all
yeah,
cool and yay, all of a sudden you go, "Oh, I'm making this up." You go, "Oh, theta, alpha, beta." You go right back to paying attention and
yeah.
hearing me talk, and you're not there anymore. So the people bring themselves back out of it. So it's just, how willing are you to just let go and release? We are such control freaks in our world and controlling
Yeah,
everything. Some people have a hard time. So if I work with anybody that's like an engineer, any kind of in the sciences,
mhm,
uh, CPAs, attorneys, any kind of accountant, they are so black and white. They have the hardest time relaxing and letting go. They really do. It's not impossible, but they're so used to it either is or it isn't. Yes or right, yes or no, up or down, right or wrong. They are just black and white. You're either in the plus or the minus with an accountant, right? You're to the
right.
good or to the bad in money. So they see everything as either or. But what if it's all of those things and more?
So it may not just be fear about it, just might just be that, well, it's just
Trying to be
that's
too logical and ego and
right,
you
right.
know you just have, so which is why the children, the younger people that I've had come through, have the best sessions. A very good dear friend of mine who's a practitioner brought her daughter, 19 years old. Oh my gosh, she's a college student, probably one of the coolest past life sessions. She got names, dates, times, places, because I asked, enough questions
Yeah.
for you to gather information. And as soon as they left, they were on there Googling that city, that place, that town, looking up the historical facts and
Oh,
proving that they just went where they went. I had a client one time, when I was still over at Soul Synergy. She remembered the name. She was Native American. She remembered the name of the tribe, And it was a name I'd never even heard of before. So I was taking notes too, and I just wrote it down phonetically, what she was saying.
Yes.
I didn't know what it was. Anyway, she got New Mexico. She got all this information about her tribe. Was really small. It was during the time when the American Army was coming through and dragging people off to the Trail of Tears and running them off their land. And another tribe is trying to escape all that, needed more people. So they went and took over this little tribe. They took the young men and made them be warriors. And they, they just kind of, and they lost their tribe. They had to, they became part of the, not the Cheyenne, but the, oh, I used to know this. Well, anyway, I have it written in notes, but they became part
Yeah.
of a whole other tribe. And so in her past life session, she was having this problem with regret and letting go. She lost her heritage and her family. Her father had been chief, but he was killed in this rebellion and they took over the tribe. And so that was her past life, but she got her name and she got the name of the tribe in New Mexico. Well, after she left, I was cleaning up and getting ready to go, but I Googled it myself really quick and I found that tribe. And they had been in New Mexico and they had been basically absorbed by this other tribe and disappeared. So they lost their uniqueness. And there were pictures. So I screenshotted the pictures and I had everybody's phone numbers from there. So I
Yeah.
texted them for her. I said, look, is this your tribe? I get back a text message that said, OMG, these are my people.
Oh my goodness.
We found,
Ooh,
it's like she recognized people in the pictures.
gives me chills.
Yes, and that really happened. And I've had many circumstances like that. Hers was pretty instant. She hadn't even made it home yet, and I was texting her pictures of her people. But she was so descriptive and she saw it so clearly that I just wrote it all down.
Yeah. I was the whole time you're talking about this, I'm thinking about, you know, 200 years ago where we didn't have the ability other than just someone writing, I guess, to capture to document things as you Googled it, or you can record these people and their actions. And I don't know the history of hypnosis or, reincarnation or any of that,
Oh,
but
the Greeks, they had the oracles and they had the like reflection pools and things where they would
yeah,
sit and they all they were doing was going to the same exact altered state. And from that,
I've
they
never
could
studied that.
remember a past life, or they could even see into the future or see
Oh,
into the past. So they were able to see it with those. That's why they had the oracles that were in the. They live in the caves on the outside of town, or they used
yeah.
reflective pools of water, mirrors,
Oh, thank you for
and you
making
can.
that connection. Now that you're mentioning it, I've seen it
It's been
in,
around for
yeah, I mean, I've seen it in movies and stuff like that, and it didn't dawn on me that, oh, thank you for making that connection for me. I was wondering how they
Dr. Raymond Moody. Well, Dr. Raymond Moody, he's got several books. Most people have heard of him. He's a psychiatrist.
I've heard
And
of him.
he went on a journey like that, and he's very metaphysical, but he wrote a book called Reunion. And in it, he created they called it a psychomantium. It was used a lot in the 1800s. You could go to, how where they would have seances at some places and
Yeah,
table tappings and the mirror. They call it scrying, gazing into a mirror. So they had a lot of that, and where in those situations you could with the scrying and doing that, you could just sit there and it's a whole process, but where one of your loved ones from the other side would have a doorway to come see you. And so he created this space to do that in his house in Alabama. He lived on land. There was an old grist mill, and he designed it. And you had a whole day of doing, you'd bring trinkets, jewelry, or pieces of things that
yeah.
reminded you of someone you want to connect with, or pictures, and you go and sit with him and do really cool things. It was like meditations and stuff, right? So not different from hypnosis, but you'd spend the day thinking of them, remembering
Yeah.
them. You would eat healthy, you'd walk in the woods, and then in the evening, you would sit and gaze into a mirror. And there would have to, he did it with a light, he says, behind you, but you don't see it in the mirror. You just see
Yeah.
the reflection of light, not the light source itself. And if you sat there in the quiet, you would have a visit from your loved one on the other side. And so that is what he called reunion, where you could reunite with someone on the other side. And he said when he did it, 85% of the people that came to him, and these aren't people that are metaphysical or psychics or
Yeah.
mediums or whatever, 85% had some sort of contact. Either they had a conversation, they literally could see them. And it's just like the same with the history of a crystal ball. People weren't looking to
Yeah.
image in a crystal ball. You're using that to help you get into the state. You know how you're like looking at something, but not looking.
Yes.
They call it a
Yeah.
soft gaze. So you do that soft gaze, just like where you're daydreaming. And that's how you see them. But you're using the reflective surface. Same thing they did in ancient Greece, is they used the reflective surface to get them there. Same in some of these Aboriginal tribes and stuff. They did it the same way. They used the water and they used it off the reflection in the water.
And that's
Sometimes,
why some people cover the mirrors, because they want to keep that doorway
yes,
closed.
yeah.
Do you think they're
So he
talking?
called,
Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, well, he called that whole experience reunion. And that's one of the things I'm getting ready to do next year. I'm going to do that.
Do you think you're connecting them with the other individual's higher self, or are they being reunited with maybe the memories that are captured in your higher self? I never mind. I'm kind of going off there a little.
No, I get it though. No, they're connecting with that person who that was. Now, once you pass away, you're rejoined with your higher self. So I'm no longer Shari, right? When I die, Shari's this incarnation, this person in this lifetime, in this time, in this place.
Yeah.
But when I pass on, I'm going to be reunited with my higher self. So I'll be back to 100% of me all in one
Yeah.
place. And my soul name is Aura. So that's one of the things we find out in LBL is, what is your soul name? So that we can refer to, so when I had my session, the person that did my sessions would say, so Aura, did Shari do what she needed to do in her life? And I answered questions for both Aura and Shari, depending on who she was addressing. But you have to have the different names so you could differentiate. And then if I just had a past life and I had come through that past life before you get to the other side of the gateway, and let's just say I was Sam. So they could actually ask questions of Aura or Sam or Shari, even though I'm all the same person, because these are multiple lives, all part of the one soul or higher self.
Now, if someone is asking their higher self what you just said, have they? I don't know if I'm comfortable with the thought of getting an affirmation of whether or not I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish, because it kind of puts a little fear in me of like, well, does this mean now my life is over and I can pass on to a new one? Oh, you wanna?
That turns out that way. No,
I-
because there's one. Let me tell you what happens.
Yeah,
Your higher self outs you almost every time about certain things. Like it would say, you're doing great. However, like that whole, a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what it was built for. So your
oh,
higher self may say, you are doing great. However, and it'll be you telling this yourself. You'll say, oh, she's doing great, but she knows that thing that she really wants to do, she needs to just feel the fear and do it anyway. You get such great lessons from your higher
I
self.
see what you're saying.
It's never negative. It's always looking at the high points of what you've done so far, but it will also give you hints as to what you should be working on or what you may have been ignoring that maybe you knew. And every single session I've done so far, nobody has ever said, nope, that was completely off. That was wrong. Because your higher self knows you better than anybody. And higher self, and I say this in every session, higher self is never wrong.
And higher self will also know when not to reveal something that's private that that we know that we don't want another person to know.
Oh, no,
You know what I
no.
mean? I'm just saying it.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
So, but higher self also knows exactly how to convey that.
Yeah.
Higher self is never wrong. It's never embarrassing.
So
It's
like you're not going into a state of where you're out of control of
no,
what
no,
like
because
no
no,
yeah,
because your higher self is always in control. And your higher self always knows where you are and it meets you where you are now.
yeah, yeah, cool.
It's not embarrassing ever. Now I had one person who was really mad at me after her past life session, not her higher self, not an LBL, but past life, because she saw herself as a being that was not of this planet. And she traveled around. She was a science officer. She worked really, really hard, but she had, no family life, no personal life. It was all work, 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 no play. Never was at home, always traveling. And it was a life at the end of it, very accomplished, but very lonely, and did not, very lonely life, and lived with regret, died with regret that they didn't have more of a life. And this goes to prove the point exactly. That's the past life she had. Well, afterwards, when she came around and we sit and we talk and we debrief, and I have you write notes so you can remember all the details,
Yes.
she was mad at me and she's like, Shari, a freaking alien. I was an alien. And she was so mad. She was like an alien. And I said, wait, hang on. I said, wasn't there anything about that that felt like, anyway, she was just mad about it being, and she described the way she looked, and she mostly looked human, of course, but there was a few odd things. Anyway, she left kind of mad at me, and I have no control over where you go in a past life. You just go.
Yeah.
Higher self takes you there. 2 weeks later, we were in the store, and all of a sudden I hear Shari, and I look, and there she is. She came over and hugged me, and she said, you were right, you were right. I figured it out, because I said, just give it a minute, you'll figure, this will mean something to you.
Mm-hmm.
She is from a family of 7 kids, and in her family, she's very accomplished, and she's very responsible, and she
Mm-hmm.
ends up helping her siblings and helping her parents and raising her kids, and she just felt sometimes overwhelmed with her big family and all her
Yeah.
responsibilities. And it dawned on her that she picked this life with those parents, with all those siblings, because her last life she was so lonely and so sad that she said in her life, she made a statement, I'll never be this lonely again. So suddenly,
Wow.
instead of being angry with her family because they had asked for help or need things, she was able to, and how she remembered it, they were having, I believe she said they were like having dinner or something, and she like looked around the table to see her whole family there, and how big families are. Everybody's laughing, carrying along,
Yeah.
carrying on, maybe throwing a roll. When someone says, give me a roll, they throw it at them or whatever, being
Yeah.
silly. And she said, it was like a light bulb went off. She goes, I chose this life. I chose these people because I'd never wanted to be lonely again. So higher self was telling her, one, quit being so hard on herself, because she was feeling guilty because she was feeling frustrated with some of her family because they were needing her assistance and help all the time. And she was doing the best she could for her own family. And so then she learned to appreciate all of them.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's how higher self works. It gives you what you need most at this time, always. And it's never wrong. And it's never embarrassing. There was nothing. Now, like I said, she was mad at me. a freaking alien. I'll never forget. She was like, I'm like, but it wasn't about the being alien part. It was about the being
Right.
alone.
Yes.
Yeah, having that really, just very accomplished business life. And she was a very accomplished business person in this life.
Yeah.
So it's always a lesson in it. There's always a message in it. And one of, let's see if I have it.
Yeah.
In one of my past lives, I lived in ancient Israel during the time of Jesus. I did not meet
Oh.
I did not meet Jesus, but my name was Miriam. I was no, not that Miriam, but that was just my name. And I was a widow. And when my
Oh.
husband died, I lived with these people that were very, very nice. They took me in and they, so they took me in and I cooked for them. That was like my payment. I didn't have money. So, and I could make really good bread, and other things. And so it was during this little town we lived in during the time of Jesus. Somebody was coming to our town and they were going to tell us about Jesus because they had gone to hear him speak, and they were going to come tell our whole town, and like we were having like a big big
Yeah.
get together so he could come tell us what happened. And so everybody was so excited. So I had to make bread, among other things. I had to cook. And so I had to go to the center of town and I had a jar to get water, and I had to pull the water bucket up, and all I was doing was fussing about like stuff on my hands. I had pitch on my hands, and
Yeah.
I was, it's going to get on the bread, and why is this happening, and I don't have time for this. I was all being fussy. And I went back and I made the bread. I made good bread. The oven was outside. I had very clear memory of that. And so after my session was over, I'm like, I was just this fussy old woman. Like, what was that all about? Anyway, it took me over 2 years to actually come around to the full meaning. And as time goes on, remember, time's not the same. It's now time, past, present, future. It's all at the same time. So it took a full 2 years before I came to full realization. Yes, I'm a widow. And I am a little fussy about things sometimes. I get caught up in the details. And but I do things, and I do the best I can. Well, that parable about when Jesus spoke, and people went to see him. I don't know if it was a parable or it's an actual story, but everybody gave a donation, and a woman came in and she put in a coin that was called a widow's mite.
Yeah.
And somebody there with Jesus was going like, basically, could she spare it? And Jesus said, "Oh, you have it wrong. She has given the best gift by far,
Yes.
because she gave all she had."
Yes.
So, and when it came back to it, I had some regrets about things in my life that I wish I could have done more, should have done more. I gave all I had. So
Oh.
2 years later, but it never really dawned on me until I went to an auction with a friend of mine, and I only went to hang out with her. Anyway, I bid on 4 or 5 things, and this other woman was willing to pay more for all of it. So I didn't get anything. But one of the things I bid on was an ancient coin. And when it was all done and over with, she came over and she apologized. She said, "I'm so sorry. I bought everything you wanted." She apparently wasn't very impressed with ancient coins. She said, "If you want this, I'll just give it to you for what I paid for it." I said, "Oh, sure." Sight unseen, I just wanted it. And it was like $10. So I took it, and I had no idea what it was. But I happened to have a friend that works at a bank, and she has a friend that is an ancient coin dealer. So she took it to him, and he goes, "Oh, it's a widow's mite."
Oh my God. Oh. Oh my goodness.
Ancient coin, 2,000 years
That.
old. And truly, I
Oh.
was having trouble with me, but what happened with her is she gave all she had.
Yes.
I did. So I had to quit being, just give up that whole guilt,
Yes.
whatever. That's not, I don't have time for that anymore. So I keep this in my wallet and carry it with me everywhere. So I remember, give all I have, but don't ever worry that you didn't give more, should have done more. You've done the best you can do. As a
Oh, and had you not, oh, what a story. I mean, that's beautiful. Just I know I say everything gives me chills and everything, but when I hear what you just shared, wow.
That's the power of higher self. That's the power of connecting with it. And but it's not always, we have TV. We're used to everything being instant. It took me over 2 years to come to the full realization. So you do it as part of your journey. And I have you journal it and write it down. Keep it. Write your dreams down. Keep those because time's not the same and things aren't always instant and they're not always like you think they are. So
Mm-hmm.
if you give yourself some time to mull it over, think through it, it becomes crystal clear if you'll write it down. But if you don't write it down, you just forget about it. And later on, when something comes up about it, it seems vaguely familiar, but you can't put your finger on it. So it's about if you want to know these things and help yourself on your own path, you should record those moments that are special like that. We all have them, whether they are in dreams or they're daydreams, thoughts, ideas, random things, or somebody does a reading for you or something.
Yes.
All that stuff adds up.
I
We
mean,
got to
I was going to say, I kept, now that you're mentioning it, I've kept prayer journals or, or diaries when I was younger, but prayer
yes.
journals. And I have found, just like what you're saying, I guess those could be notes from my higher self writing things. And then I'll go back and I'll read and see what has happened years later.
Anybody that comes to me, I teach journaling because
Okay.
I have in my office
Yeah.
extra notebooks and extra pens, plenty.
It's
So
beautiful.
if you do the group session, I put on my instructions, bring your journal. But a lot of people don't have them or they
Yeah.
forget when they come. So I have I love these ah, little
Oh,
composition books.
yes.
So I give these out and I give pens and I'm like, write that down, date that.
I love that.
And I give out those chakra reading cards, and so I tell you on those now too. And this was
Yes.
started it, but date it and save it
Dang.
because it comes full circle. If you start listening to higher self, your
Yes.
subconscious, super consciousness, you are connected to all that is. We're all a part of it. Like in the Christian religion, we say that we were all created in God's image. So that means that we are part of him, made up of the same. I tell people you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a single drop. We all came from the
Oh,
same place. Well, we all came, and that comes from Rumi. I think it's Rumi that said that, but I love that because
mhm.
um, and we're all connected. That's how we know things about each other. You think about someone, and all of a sudden your phone rings and it's them. How did you do that? It's because we're all
Ah,
connected. And when I keep saying it's all the same thing, it is, whether it's hypnosis and you're doing past life or this life, or you're doing any kind of mediumship or psychic or Reiki, it's all the same energy.
it's just a different language or whatever people feel comfortable labeling it
And
as.
how you're using it, how do you choose to use it? Whether you're using it for something for now or something you want to look at something in the past that you have access to or the future, it's all the same. When you do LBL, when you travel to the other side of the gateway, it becomes blatantly obvious it's all the same stuff. And you have a realization, you have a perspective so different. You truly are never the same again because you're able to really look at all things outside yourself. You can look at that life as Shari and what the decisions you made and maybe the past lives and all those. You can look at it all as one overall because we're all on this mission. Why are we here? We didn't come here for no reason. If you believe in past lives,
Yeah.
you came for a reason.
Now you said, did you say that your current state, well, the one that you can see and I can see right now, you call that beta? Kind of like, is that,
Your current life,
yeah.
it,
Wait,
it it's the current state of being aware and
yeah.
talking. That's
Yeah.
basic.
That's
Yeah.
beta.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I put an EEG up,
Yeah.
plugged you in,
Well, sometimes I think we can just get obsessed with what is happening in beta and, you know,
That's the truth.
forget, when I was speaking with, Beth with Take a Breath with Beth, we were talking meditation. Um, I guess you connecting with your higher self, and then in meditation, you can still be present, but not totally in beta, but still be present and meditate, but get realigned back into
So
taking
here's the thing. Meditation and hypnosis are the same thing. And
yeah.
your level of consciousness is just based on how much can you relax. Let's see. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see.
gotcha.
Can you see these little?
Kinda, but not really.
Okay, so I'll be really still. So the very top one is gamma.
Oh,
That's
I
like when
see.
the blinding flash of the obvious. You see how
Yeah.
many little squiggles go up and down, up and down, up and down, up
Yes.
and down. Okay, you can only do that for a second because if you did that all the time, you'd be like the Hulk. Remember the Hulk?
Oh, yeah.
He got gamma waves, or and he gets crazy. So the one underneath that is beta. That's us talking right now. Your brain waves are moving, grooving. Look underneath
Yeah.
that. Look at alpha, how much it slowed way down.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh,
And then
yes.
beta, and then delta is like barely moving.
I understand.
Okay, it's easier to see it.
Yes.
So brain waves,
Yeah.
woo, you know.
Yes.
Um, but it's all the same thing. It's where are you on that chart, and
I
depending on
gotcha.
where you are is what you can perceive. And the more you can slow it down, your perception opens wide up, and you can perceive other realms, higher places, and then
Oh.
it becomes obvious to you. And your soul, remember, it does not have a mouth to speak or eyes to see, right? They talk about this being the third eye. They're not talking about an eyeball here, but they're talking about the ability to people, like when people have their past life sessions and they were a man, it's like, but it doesn't matter. It's just what you chose for that life. A soul doesn't have a body, and they speak telepathically. And we have all the clairs, the different gifts people have, whether they're
Yeah.
clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairsentient, clairgustient. So it's, did you see? Did you hear? Did you just know? Could you taste it or smell it? You can, but it didn't mean you had a nose just because you could smell it.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Memory, how you take it in. So everybody thinks it should be visual, just like my past life sessions. They sit down and they think they're going to have like big screen, full color surround sound, because
Mm.
you may not be visual at all. My teacher is not visual. He doesn't see a darn thing. He just knows. You know what always confused me? People would say they had downloads. And I'm like, downloads? Oh, I want to download. What's a download? And it's like
Yeah.
they'd suddenly just know something, right? They just would know it. Yes. So that is, you just would know it. You were clear, say clear knowing, clear cognizant.
Ah,
That is a down. Clear sentient. You just sense it. It's a feeling. You just feel it.
yeah.
You feel the anger or the pain. I could feel the frustration of getting the pitch on my hands. So I am
Yeah.
clairsentient. So we all interpret differently. You may not see a thing, but you just know stuff.
Yeah.
Funny story. I had a woman in one of the group sessions. After it's done, I always encourage everyone to share because that helps everyone else figure out how this works.
Right.
So share. She was the first of the six, and she said, "Oh, I didn't get nothing. It was just nothing. It was nothing. I didn't have nothing." And I was like, "Oh, well, I sure hate that. I used to take responsibility for it, but it's not me. It's higher self. So higher self is never wrong, always. And this is going to prove it." So we go around, everybody tells their story. And as they're telling their story, she's listening. We're going around the room, and I could tell she's collecting it. We get
Yeah.
all the way back around, and I'm ready to move on to the next piece of the session. And she goes, wait, wait. She goes, well, I did have something. And I said, oh, well, good. Well, share it with us. And she said, yeah, I was a widow in the Old West, and my husband had died, and I had this useless, hand. He was just this cowhand. He was just useless. The sheriff wanted my land, and he thought he's going to bully me into it. And him and his deputies would come out, and they'd have guns, and they'd just try to be real, pushy. And this guy, I just couldn't depend on him. I had to carry a gun. I had to be tough and hard, and it was a miserable life. And da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And she, we're all sitting there listening. Well, I thought you didn't have anything. You didn't do anything, right? So anyway, so we're just going on. I'm like, okay, okay. So you did have something. And she said, well, I know I had a past life in ancient Egypt, and that's where I wanted to go. And I said, well, higher self is never wrong. I said, does any of that resonate with you or have anything to do? And little tears start coming down. And she said, well, actually, I'm a widow. And my husband's brother is an awful man. And he's got his team of lawyers trying to take things from me that belong to me because his brother was married to me. And he's trying to bully me into doing that. And I said, it sounds to me like Katie, bar the door and get your gun because you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Telling her, don't depend on others. That hand is useless. Just take it into your own hands and stand your ground. You did it in past life, you can do it now. That was her message. She started to cry. And this is a woman who said, I didn't have nothing.
Which she may still have that past life in Egypt also, but I mean, if that's what but higher self knew she needed to go back to this other place.
Need to go most every time without fail.
Oh, well, I think I'm planning on coming to the one you're holding this coming month.
Yes, I think it's the 19th.
Oh, yeah, that was November 19th.
It's always the third Saturday of the month. Yes, we have 4 seats left.
Oh, so if anyone, they just contact you through your website at resolutionhypnotherapy.com or
if they have to, but I'd rather them call me or text me. And my phone number is 601 503 5010. And it's best to just text me, hey, this is so and so, and then I'll text you back the information.
so that was November 19th. At what time?
It is 6:30 to 9:30.
6:30 to 9:30.
Yep.
But just to text you to reserve a spot, and you've only got
4 seats
limited
left.
about 4 seats left, and texting you would be the best way to do it.
Yep. Yay. And it's because I only do the 6 seats, it usually ends up being people that are going to eventually want to go down that road and do a past life session. A past life session is about 3 hours. And we have to get totally relaxed and deep hypnosis to be able to go there. And so it's and it helps if you've ever been there before, you've worked with me before, you've heard my voice. And then we have a level of trust, that I'm not taking you to some deep dark place or and in hypnosis you would never do something you wouldn't normally do. I can't make you go quack like a duck, or those people you see in Vegas acts, they'd have done that stuff anyway. It's kind of I had to actually learn that in hypnotherapy school. So I did it the one day to pass my test, and then I've never done that again. But so it just gives you that trust level. So when I do the group sessions, you get your session, you get to hear 5 other people's whatever they feel like sharing, and it's never like vastly personal kind of stuff. And you can choose to share whatever piece of it you want or not at all. No, there's no pressure. You can share if you want to, but most people want some validation that that's a cool thing, and as a group we help each other figure stuff out. And then do that one, and I charge $47 for a group in that group session. If you do that, I give you $50 off a past life session, because it's easier for me because you've
Oh,
been there before.
yes.
It's easier for you because you got a head start.
Oh, so win-win.
Yes, it is. So it's like a precursor to someone that wants to do a regular past life. And the group one is, again, it's group, and it's like a guided meditation. I talk, you listen. So it's never going to be as detailed. I can't ask you specific stuff.
Right.
In a private past life session, I talk, you talk. You're like, when you're there, I'll say, well, turn 360 degrees, describe to me where you are, what's going on. And so you start to describe, and I can tell right away if you're visual, you start saying, well, there's green hills, there's however you're describing it. I have you look at your feet, and we start there and start simple. And then I find out if you are just, things, if you you just know them, you see them, you hear them. And so then I know how to talk to you. So that's the private session is much more detailed and highly personal for
Right.
you. In the group session, it's just like practice. I teach you how to attain the altered state and have a session. We have a session, and there's deep meaning. People get deep meaning from their sessions. It's not quite the same as a 3-hour past life session. And even though I said 6:30 to 9:30 for the group
Yes.
session,
Yes.
that's not a 3-hour session. That's an hour of preparation. I discuss with you what you're looking for, what is an altered state, how do you get there. That little thing I showed you, I always have it ready, and I show
Yes.
everything. This
Yes.
is where we are. This is where we're going to try to go. Here's how you have to go there. I discuss the
Gotcha.
science of it first, so you can understand that it's a real for real thing. Then there's that whole other level that if you trust and you believe, then you can go there.
And then y'all share if you want to.
Yes,
Yeah.
almost everybody does. Almost everybody
Oh,
does. And occasionally I have people that can't really go there, but they usually still have something. They saw some colors, they
yes.
heard a word, a sound, a name, or they'll say, well, when you said that one part and you talked about that, I saw, or I thought about my grandma, or they'll have they'll have something.
Yes.
Almost everybody has something. Um, One time I've done hundreds of people through this, like hundreds, because I've done 6 people every month, 4 to 6, depends on how many show up every month, but 2 for 4 years. And that's
Wow.
not including private sessions. So everybody does something. And the more you allow yourself to be open, the more you're going to experience. So it's truly up to the individual. It's not up to me, it's up to you. So to answer your question from 30 minutes ago, I don't use a watch. I use gentle words. I use the hemisync sound or music to help you get to an altered state. I use aromatherapy to get to an altered state. It's all to help you relax. Once you
Gotcha.
relax, I then do the guided thing so that, and I'm only there to just kind of give you pushes, little pushes, and it's up to you to take off from there.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
um, I always just tell people, I'm just the conductor on the train.
Yes. So they can contact you again through text. Also, if they're interested in any of your other hypnotherapy um sessions like you were talking about with working with the athletes and
That's on the website, and there is a spot on there if they want to, they can. It says for more information. There's a
yeah,
place to leave a message, and
yes.
they can do that. My email for that is kind of messed up right now, so I do check it, but I sometimes don't check it for a couple of days. People can contact me that way.
But
Um,
the best way is just to go on and text you.
if you want to hear from me today, yes. Just get so excited about this. I truly am getting an opportunity to do something um, I've been studying off and on. I read Raymond Mooney's books. I read Dr. Monroe and Brian Weiss and Dolores Cannon for my
Yes.
whole, and
Yeah.
now I'm finally getting to do all of that, and I can go in any direction I want. We are all limitless beings. We all have that potential. So I encourage
Yeah.
everyone, man, live your best life. And if this is something you want to do, go do it. We only get so
Amen.
many revolutions around the sun. So I want to get this done. This is going to be my new job.
Well, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure getting to know you better, and also just learning about life between lives. And I think I have more questions still, so we may have to have you back later in the first of the year when you have things, to find out what's on tap.
I'm going to be end up working with a lot of people outside of my general area. Right now, I've just been doing it here. But once I get put on the international website, according to my teacher, I'm going to get calls from all over. So, because there aren't a lot. And last thing I just want to leave people with is if you have interest in any of this at all, read. I can't explain it nearly as well as Dr. Michael Newton. And if you read his book, it is fascinating. And even if you don't like to read, get it on Audible. And there's 3 books: Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, and I should know this. Plus, there's actually the Little Book of Life Between Lives. There's several books about the Newton Institute, the other practitioners' experiences. It's amazing, and it is life-changing. So if somebody wants a great book, Journey of Souls, changed my life.
Thanks.
Thank
you. Bye. Check out Shari's website at resolutionhypnotherapy.com. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.